Hija, thank you for coming.
Same. So, thank you very much for having us today. Thank you very much, Pablo. Thank you very much, Nas, for giving us this opportunity to talk about more investments, opportunities, processes, and why a lot of Canadians are deciding to buy in one of the most visited places in the world, which is right now the Mexican Caribbean paradise, right? So, first of all, I want to introduce you. This is Pablo. He's a Canadian investor and broker here in Canada, correct? And she's Nas. She's an investor as well in Canada and in Rivera Maya. Both have been buying properties in the Rivera Maya because they have seen the opportunities and they're going to share with us the experience and what they're seeing in the market between Canada and Mexico. And then again, your guest, Carlos. I'm one of the managers of Maya Ocean. And of course, I'm the ambassador, so I'm here to make these presentations reality. So my first question to you will be, what have you have seen the difference, or what do you think were the three top reasons why Canadians are buying right now in Playa, in Tulum, in Cancun? What do you think are the reasons, or why did you choose to buy there?
Who started? Me, you? Okay. Well, I'm a realtor here too, and I think it's the same, right? I'm a realtor here too, and I think one of the major reasons is the price. The price that we find here properties is not the same price that you can find there. What you can get here is not the same what you can get there. Second thing is like an investment right now. For example, if you are a Canadian and you want to get a cottage here, it's a lot of changes happening right now. One of the major changes is the capital gain. It was 50%, and now it's gonna increase if the federal budget 2024 get approval for June 25. It's gonna increase to 66.67%. So with that capital gain in mind and all these changes, people are thinking twice to buy a cottage here or a recreational property. So might as well to invest your money somewhere else. And I think Mexico is perfect. And the third main reason I think is the time actually. It's a lot of flights every day, very easy, and 3 hours and a half. That is almost the same that you can spend from the city to a cottage. So I think for me those are the three main reasons.
I couldn't agree more, and I think that it's important to also consider, the amount of capital it takes to acquire properties here in Canada as an investor right now is a lot more than what it costs to invest in Mexico. You know, one bedroom condo here in Toronto runs you, even with the market conditions today that has taken a bit of a hit, you're still spending anywhere from $550,000 and upwards. Where in Tulum, for example, that same $550,000 could get you into a 2-3 bedroom, a villa, for example. I feel like your dollar goes a lot further down there, and it has a lot of benefits. You get to have a home away from home that you can enjoy, that gets you a handsome return, that you can I believe that I feel that it gives you more benefits, and the timing, like Nazi said, couldn't be better with the infrastructure that's going in, that's already progressing, that we can see, that's already taking place. Like Nazi and I had an event similar to this last year where we pitched Ocean Tulum, and we pitched different projects that My Ocean had at the time in pre-construction with friends and family. At that point, we were telling people that the Mayan train and the airport was underway. Now today, only 10 months later, we can literally see that the airport is there. We're accepting flights from Toronto, Montreal, Calgary. Viva Aerobus just got a deal with Emirates Airlines. So you can see the progression of these investments in infrastructure today. And so, the timing was yesterday, but right now it's still,
Yeah, it's like they say, right? Like the best time to buy a property was yesterday, but the second best time to buy a property is today. So I agree with both of you. I think there has been a really increase in the market. Thank you for all big projects are coming by. But also, what you can tell me about the weather? Why a lot of Canadians they want to they're like done with the cold and they want to spend their time. Because I mean, I love Canada. Like Toronto for me has been awesome. Like these past few days, I've seen a lot, and it's not that cold. But I imagine in the cold weather, it gets super cold. I had my experience in back in October, but with Edmonton, not with Toronto. But they told me Edmonton was like the even in summer it's cold. So what do you tell me about the cold? How's the weather here?
I mean, I'll be honest. Like growing up in Canada, I love the winter. As a kid, you go outside at school. You make you have snowball fights. But as an adult, you may go skiing once, twice, but I feel like it's not for me. I'll tell you, that's for sure. It's definitely not for me, and I'm sure that a lot of people can relate that. It's nice to have the option to have a home away from, like I mentioned, a home away from home that it's very accessible. Flights are relatively, they're not expensive. You're 3.5 hours away. It costs you more to go to a cottage here than it costs you to fly
A flight ticket, yeah.
to the Riviera Maya. And if you're staying at your own place, it also reduces your hospitality costs. To me, it's a no-brainer. I feel like if you've ever thought about having that ability to have sun, cenotes, parks, festivals
At your
at the
disposal.
disposal,
Yeah.
the Riviera Maya is the place to be.
The other day I was doing with the jet ski, like the water jet ski, and yeah, I was having so much fun just looking at the bluish, like being there, and then coming back to the beach. Also, I think one of the reasons that a lot of Canadians are going there are for prices, like the general life. What you can tell me about the general life in Canada? How much it costs you to be here? Like, what will be the average monthly income for a family to have in order, like, to live a good life? Like, for example, being in one of these buildings, for giving an example.
Well, about lifestyle, it's different aspects. Number one, if you work remotely, that's what happens when COVID starts, and a lot of people have the opportunity to just go and live somewhere else. Um, with the money that these remote workers can make in the States or Canada, you can live a completely different lifestyle in Mexico. So that's number one. Number two, the snowbirds that
Snowbirds.
that we already talked a little bit earlier about it. Is for them is just perfect because when they are not using their property, they can make some income, some extra income. And in comparison with here, well, if you still working and living here, like our case, it still is very inconvenient because it's like 3 hours flight. The money that the cost of living here is different. It's not that about it. Um, but if you have that opportunity, just take the chances, right? Because we live once.
Yeah, that is correct. I mean, it's like they're saying, like, I'm not willing to take a risk, but it's all risky. At the end, how risky life is, you're not gonna get a life out of it. So might well just live a little, right?
Yeah.
One of my
And do
questions
you
is,
know what?
yeah,
It's like, and everything is risk, but it's like, let's say, a controlled risk.
like how to
Yeah.
manage it, right?
How
Manage
manage?
the
Yeah,
risk.
like nobody really expect all the changes with mortgage rates here in Canada, and it happens, and it affects the market. It's not a secret, and you know what? It's different over there because the value of the properties is less. So you don't really need a mortgage if you are making an okay income in the States or Canada.
Yeah, like if you're making an okay income, you can actually pull it off in the period of time of the construction, like 2 3 years, depending on each project. But my next question will be like, for example, what are the average costs here? Like, well, how much is like rent? How much is water, electricity bill, like everything, so we can have an idea. So I would say like this is my guess. You will let me know if I'm wrong or correctly. I would guess like in Mexico, in this part of Tulum, in Cancun, Playa del Carmen, you'll be spending at least um, ma- más bien, your money will be lasting you longer for at least 20 to 35% more. So from your same paycheck, your money in Mexico will have more like more value, like 20 35%. That's my guess. You will let me know if I'm correct there.
I would say that's about right. I think that, I'll give you an example. In these beautiful condominium buildings, you're paying, anywhere from $500 to $800 per month on maintenance fees.
Maintenance fees. Okay.
So that's like, you know,
HOA.
the
The
HOA
HOA.
for the people in the States. So, cost of living here is one of the highest, definitely the highest. Well, I feel like Vancouver is up there,
Up
Vancouver
there.
and Toronto. But you're talking about, it's expensive and it's only getting more expensive. So I feel like your dollar goes a lot further in Mexico. And the beauty of it is that you have the option to live luxurious and enjoy the simpler things and still have an amazing time. One night you can go to a Michelin star restaurant and then you can go to a taco stand. That's gonna be delicious. So like your your dollar definitely goes a lot further there.
Yeah.
You can have experiences of a lifetime. There's so much to see, so much to do. It's not just beach. There's lagunas. There's a biosphere. The jungle. The jungle is beautiful. Cenotes. So I feel like there's a lot more variety, a lot more if you're adventurous and you like to mix it up, there's so many landscapes there for you to explore. You'll never get bored.
Perfect. So if you can now tell me, I've heard before, and I have some clients that they have done this. What is the idea about getting the equity from their home and getting the best interest rate here instead of using the Mexican interest rate to buy their secondary home or their investment property in Rivera Maya? Like, how does that work? Like, what's the equity mortgage loan, and what's the like the 401k as well? Like, how would you explain those things?
Great question, Carlos. So it is actually quite advantageous for people that have invested here and had properties for a while that have earned that equity for them to, instead of selling it and having to pay the capital gain, you could refinance your property and take some of that equity out tax free, and then you could use that to invest in Mexico. And you have a place that's paid in Mexico from the equity that you've earned here. And so that's one of the avenues that's very, it's available to a lot of people that, baby boomers, people, a lot of our parents, for example, that have had properties for a long time, to utilize that and get an additional source of income. Get a property that you can Airbnb that will give you a monthly cash flow, and it's also going to appreciate down there. So definitely refinancing, taking equity out, and using that equity smartly to put it into an investment in Minor Rivera. That is a very strategic choice for investors to look into right now.
Yeah, and also some people can use the RSPs.
Yes.
RSPs. So RSPs are like similar to the 401ks, like the retirement accounts.
You could say that they're similar to the 401k. RSPs is a registered retirement. It's like your pension fund, essentially.
Yes.
You pay into it. You have employee contributions from people that work jobs, and so you there's an option for you to take some of that money out. People that have contributed for you do have to have that contribution in there, right? So it's not like
Okay.
you can just access it without having contributed to it. But people that have contributed to their RSPs, there's a program through a company called Seaport Credit that's in the Mayan Riviera that can actually help Canadians take money from their RSPs and use it as a down payment or as to pay down their property in Mexico. And through the course of 10, 20 years, you can actually pay yourself back so that you are back on track by the time you are set to retire. But you ended up investing in an opportunity that gave you a much better return had you just left it in comparison to have just left it in your RSP. So
RSP.
that is another creative financing strategy that is available to Canadians here. So.
Wow, that is something amazing to be able to have different tools and to have different vehicles, finance vehicles to be able to invest in different scenarios and places. And I think right now it's a good opportunity to take advantage of the Mexican market before the prices start going even higher. Because at the end in Mexico, if we look at the charts, we usually go up in prices. It's really rare to see a price goes down, and especially in these hot spots that are the high touristic destinations. So that's something to consider. Do you have any questions for me?
I do.
Throw them out.
Yeah. So one of the most common questions here is a Canadian person can buy property in Mexico?
Yes, that is one of the most common questions, and then this usually gets a little confusing, so bear with me. In Canada and the United States, you guys use a trust. So in Mexico, we have the same thing, the trust, but we use it for buying property. So when you're a foreigner, you're required to have a trust in order to get the property. So basically, it will mean that the bank will own the property and you own the trust, all the rights, and you own everything that has to do with the property. You can sell it, rent it. You can even like how do you call it? Like you can heritage.
You can, yeah, you
Yeah.
can pass it on.
You can pass it on basically. So that's how it works in the fideicomisos. They have a life for almost like 60 to 900, like 90 years in total. And when that's over, you need to renew it. So it's basically forever. And even if the bank has a problem, those assets or those trusts are not part from the bank. So basically, we're just using the account or the holding. So that's one of the ways. The other one is to open an LLC. My recommendation, if you're buying one property, use the trust, because at the end of the trust, when you resell, because it's your primary residency, you won't get any capital gain tax, and you can do this every 3 years. So if you're planning like to switch up properties every 3 to 4 years, use the trust. If you're planning to have more properties, then you can use now the LLC and take advantage of the tax benefits and how to deduct them, which we have a course for doing that as well. And it's so easy to do them in Mexico.
Perfect. Okay, so what about taxes? Let's talk a little bit about taxes because we already talked how taxes were here.
Yeah. So perfect. So taxes in Mexico are a little different. For example, our property taxes are only 0.002%. So to give you an example, for a condominium like here that costs like $500,000, in Mexico you'll be paying around like between $450 to $500 a year. So basically, it's like nothing. Yeah. And if you pay the first month, you get a discount. Yeah. So have that in mind.
And what about capital gains?
For capital gain, this is the tricky part. So most of foreigners, they think capital gain is going to be only 30%. But this is if you don't really get advice and if you don't really get an accountant. So all of us Mexicans, we get an accountant and they help us with different strategies to lower the tax percentage. There's one of the ways that you can do this, that you have to get your residency and then your work permit. After getting all this information, you can go through one of the like brackets, tax brackets that is called Reciclo, which in this bracket you only pay 2.5% of income tax from up to $150,000 a year. So imagine if you win equal to $150,000 a year, you only have to pay 2.5%, which is around like $3,500 a year, which is nothing.
Wow.
Exactly.
Do you have any questions?
I do have a question, Carlos. I feel like I'm asked, you know, is Mexico safe? Or people have that kind of reservation. And, you know, even from my personal experience, I've been there with my wife, my son. We've never felt unsafe. We've never had any bad experiences. You know, things happen everywhere, even here downtown Toronto. You know, if we actually take a direct comparison, it's actually worse here. But people are always skeptical, and they have the mentality. So what would you say to somebody that has that?
Ah man, so everybody thinks that's like the toughest question we would ask all the time. Like, is it safe? Is it this? I know there's a lot of news here that they show like, oh, Mexico this, Mexico that, and I tell them, look, this is all over the world. You know, like you can find a dangerous place like any part of the world. If you go to New York, you get into the bad neighbors. You can get mugged. You can get this. You can get that. If you go to Thailand or like a Bali, you can get the same thing. So every part, I went myself to Italy and I got robbed. You know, and I was in Italy. I felt bad because there was this lady just screaming at me and putting a map on the table and took my stuff. So that's different. You know, I've never been robbed like that. So in Mexico, I've been living the past 7 years in the Ribera Maya. I'm from the center of Guadalajara, and for example, in the center, you do have to be more careful, like leaving your stuff in the car. Of course, if you leave your phone unattended and you're like walk away, like something could happen. That's normal. But in general, 95% of the economy in Ribera Maya, they depend on the tourism. So this is something important because they now understand that if they start doing this type of things, people are going to stop coming. And if they stop coming, they'll starve. So economy is going to lose, everything is going to go down. So they're not that really into it. So they make sure they have everyone protected. And this is something important information for you guys, because at the end I have some clients that they're like, oh look at the militaries, they have guns, they have this. So basically we have three different cops in the area. The first one is the local cops, those one we call them estatales. Then we have the federal cops, and then we have the National Guard security. So those three cops are the main reason they maintain the order, and they make sure that everyone is protected, that everyone has to be in the same place, and that everyone and the economy keeps its function, right? So in other words, it's really safe, and also all of the buildings, like all of our apartments, they have private security 24/7, so they have a guy that is always going to be looking out. They have security cameras, and there's always cops like moving and going around the places. So you will never have an issue with anything, with anything.
Yeah, you know what? I had amazing experience there too. Like sometimes I have been in restaurants and I forget things and I just leave. And next day I'm coming back and they give it back. And you know, and
They
they're
have
like,
your stuff.
yeah, they have my stuff in a bag and this is yours. And they are like, yeah, sign here that you pick up because you know, like, yes, it's mine, it's mine.
Yeah, like we don't want to get any trouble, like saying,
Yeah.
yeah, we didn't deliver to the right person. Yeah, so there's a lot of honesty in those parts, because they really appreciate the tourism that we're receiving. So they want to make sure they take care of themselves. Now my question to you guys is, I know you bought a place. Congratulations, first of all, congrats. So what has been your experience? How was the process? Was it difficult? Was it easy? Like we all know in the area, the legal workers, like the notaries and the lawyers, they take their time. They take their time. That's a difference from the city. But apart from that, how was that experience?
Well, for me, it was very pleasant. I'm a realtor here, so I know how things work here in terms of times and lawyers and all this. So if I am crystal clear, I will say that Mexico moves in different times. Um, of course, here is also delays, but I will say if you go into the bank in Mexico, you need to have different expectations. You know, if you go into the lawyer in Mexico, you need to have different expectations. Things happen. Nobody gonna steal your money. No, you know, it's just that
They take their
the
time.
lifestyle is different, so they move in different time. That's the only thing that I recognize it was different. Other than that, it was very pleasure. For me, also was amazing that because I bought in pre-construction. Um, well, you buy what do you see in the paper, right? The floor plan and the contract, and that's it. When I saw the unit, I got exactly what I was promised that I'm gonna get. Exactly the furniture,
The
the
colors.
color, the square footage, everything was there.
So basically, you bought a place that was in pre-construction. When you saw it in the blueprints, it was the same exactly layout, colors,
Exactly.
finishes. Once they delivered the unit to you.
Yeah, that was 100%. And in that part, I am very surprised of the quality of the materials, you know, because of course construction here is kind of different. So I was expecting that, you know,
Um,
but yeah, it was pretty pleasant to get.
Yeah, you know, we have a saying that we Mexicans, we know how to build. So that's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Everybody wonders who built the pyramids in Egypt, but nobody wonders who built the pyramids in Rivera Maya, right? They know we're Mexicans.
Yeah. And you know what? I never advise somebody to do something that I never had been doing or I wouldn't do. So
I agree. I agree.
you know, I see opportunity. I see growing in Tulum, growing in Playa del Carmen, growing in the whole area. And I see actually the government is investing a lot of money in that area with the
Infrastructure.
main triad, with the airport. A lot of things happening right now. So
Yeah.
I think it's just timing, and timing in real estate is
It's
key.
everything. It's key factor. Yeah. And how about you, Pablo? How was your experience?
I mean, I feel like my experience is a little bit biased in a sense because, you know, I'm Mexican Canadian, so I've always had the desire to go back home,
Yeah.
and you know, being able to provide un patrimonio, you know, something for my family down the road is, to me, it's invaluable. But what I can't say, you know, when people tell me like there's delays, you know, I live in a city we're used to having things at our disposal quickly. But isn't that part of the reason why we choose to invest abroad in the Caribbean? Like we want that laid back lifestyle. So you know, these things come with
Like controversial, right?
yeah, like you know, it's in contrast. But I feel that you know, it's been a great experience overall, and I'm very glad I did it. Had I not done it, I would be looking at my right now at the prices, being like, I should have bought that.
Yeah, like
Very glad I
understand.
did, but you know what? I feel like even right now, I'm always looking for my next investment because I've seen the gains, I've experienced them, I've seen the returns you can make. So, like Nazi said, it's one thing to want to sell something that you don't have yourself, and one thing is to sell something that you can be like, look, here's my report.
Here's my
This is
experience.
this is why
Yeah.
this is good. No, like it's not like we're talking theory. We're talking real numbers here, and that's something that to me has been invaluable.
And at the end, I think real estate is all about connection, relationships, like long term. There's a lot of brokers that they just see like one thing at a time. You know, they see like, oh no, it's just one transaction, but it's not like that. Like for us, at least in my ocean, we usually try to keep our clients happy. We try to be as transparent as possible. We try to tell them what's going on in the market, like what's the status of everything, because that's the what it matters. You know, what it matters is at the end, at the far at most, that you're happy with your investment. That if things happen, we're taking responsibility for them, and that we are making sure that we're going to continue in business, right? Because at the end, I think that's all about real estate.
Absolutely, real estate is all about relationships, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Me personally, I'm not here to make a sale. I'm here to build relationships that are gonna last a long time. I want to have people that are going to be happy that they met me because now they have a property, then they can have another one. I want to build long-term relationships, and that's what I think that my ocean real estate is here for, because you guys have a turnkey opportunity, turnkey business for investors from A to Z, and I think that makes the world of a difference. So thank you, Carlos, for again coming here. Thank you, Ileana. Thank you, Maya Ocean, for sending you guys and showing face and knowing that you guys are serious, and thank you.
Oh, I appreciate it a lot. Thank you very much, Pablo, for helping us with this whole presentation, with this video that we're doing. Thank you very much, Nas, for helping us showing the best properties as well, to sharing your place for us as well, to opening your house to the company. And I think we make a really a huge step right now here in Toronto market, because we've seen a lot of people are peaking right now in Mexico, and I think that's like the key factor, right? Help them see what's the benefits in the area, what they can get, and then of course, like you say, make relationships that last forever. So this is just the beginning of our friendship. Thank you very much for participating in my video. I appreciate this a lot, and this will be for you guys to understand how we're doing things in business here in Toronto, and how we're gonna continue to grow and even get more properties for everybody to be happy.
Thanks to you for having us.
Gracias.
Ciao, ciao.
Chao. Sí. Bonitos y gorditos. Bonitos y gorditos.